Just when I thought I was done with the Vanguard, we actually get the brand new pistol on them. I think it's on Assault and Bulwark, right, as well? Kinda unfortunate that melee classes get it, but I'm gonna be honest, I kinda understand why. If this was on a class that could buff up weapons a lot easier, in any way, shape, or form, it might be further beyond busted, some people would say, but I think it's just crazy good, honestly. This pistol is the bee's knees, alright? This thing is love, it's life. It's as good as the Milta. It's gonna have that like cult following behind it. As far as, non-bolter weapons go, this is the like second pistol, right? Almost the only one, in my opinion, that we have. But the plasma is solid. Let's not get this wrong. But this thing outshines it heavily, just for me in particular, because little background, I love elemental kind of weapons, energy weapons as well in games like other RPGs and stuff. If it has an elemental thing on it, or it's kind of like a beam, plasma, whatever. I'm all over that noise, it's just awesome. And this thing checks all the boxes of just being badass, alright? It just fucking rocks. Now, as far as like perks go, I'll show you a little bit of this for the people that want it. It's nothing special, but it is what it is. Figured I'd show just weapon perks real quick for the main thing I'm talking about, and perks for the actual class, just so people can kind of see what's going on behind the scenes, I suppose. But anyway, this thing, when I say it checks all the boxes, I truly mean it. I usually go for at least decent damage, which it has. It's got hella good range, and if you build up enough of the thermal burns on these enemies, they'll actually like kind of pop. And as soon as you get it into the later levels, whenever they pop like that, you can add extra thermal damage on top of it. And let me tell you, all these things sold it for me. Being able to shoot at one target, but take down stuff around it, is a godsend in a game like this. I'm gonna just say it. In the higher difficulties, they start throwing so many hordes at you. You're gonna want something like this in your back pocket just to burn down warriors if you're playing Tyranids or the Rubric Marines. It also does fry them, but it'll also get the fodder that surrounds them when they're charging in together. And honestly, that goes a long way in here. It's really, really solid weapon here. And honestly, if this is a sight of what we're gonna get later on for weapons, makes me pretty stoked, honestly. I mean, them tech priests, they know what we want out here, I will say. Now, as far as trying the weapon on classes, I only did it on Vanguard because they're hands down my favorite right now, just in terms of perks and what weapons they get. I tried it with every primary weapon the Vanguard has. The Oculus goes hard, the Instigator goes insane. Everything is solid, right? But its best pairing, I will say, is with the Melta, because the Instigator and the Oculus have that mid to longer range capabilities already built into their kits. The Melta does not, and this new pistol, I think it's the Neo-Volkite, however you pronounce this, I'm sure that was it. Yeah, let's go with it. This thing has a lot of range, and it can be best paired with something that has no range and can do heavy damage up close. I'm always preaching about harmony between the weapons in your class. This set of weapons, they both just do their jobs so well, and when you pair them together, you almost feel unstoppable. I didn't even talk about the gun strike on this thing yet, but I think it's actually the best part about it, just because of so much utility that it has built into it. Like, gun strikes stun enemies around the target you're gun striking, right? We know this. This thing, though, when you gun strike with it, I don't think it just stuns them. I think it is genuinely doing a little bit of damage, too. You have, like, a few targets around the target you're shooting at with the gun strike that gets hit with, I don't know if it's burn or just like, beam damage or something, but that's crowd control that's put into a gun that already has crazy mid to long range, already has crowd control. Just normally when you fire it, if you fire it at a warrior, you can sit there and fry the hormagaunts right next to him. I'm sure that's how we pronounce it. I'm always gonna doubt myself, sorry. But the thing is crazy good. And when paired with a proper pairing like the Melta, you genuinely feel like nothing can stop you at times. There's almost nothing that you can't get to in terms of damage, range, all this. It truly is like a match made in heaven. And when you bring in something like the combat knife, balanced version for speed at that, I mean, come on now. Whenever you have to reload the Melta, you have that, and when you have, you know, nothing else for long range, you have the Neo-Volkite right now. It's, I think, better than the bolt pistol for the Vanguard, but, it just depends on if you like to shoot a bolter for your handgun or not, I guess. I mean, not everybody is a fanatic for energy style weapons like me, and I get that. The bolter weapons are really, really good in this game. Anyway, back to this Volkite pistol, right? It may feel like it has a bunch of ammo, and it does have a decent bit, I'll be honest, but if you main the thing, you could easily run out of it in no time, right? So that's why I would say use it with the Melta so you don't just waste all of your ammunition in like 2 seconds, 3 seconds, right? Well, wasteful. It's a little loose term, I guess. It does depend on how much stuff you take out with it and so on and so forth, but ammo efficiency doesn't really come in until it's a relic tier weapon, I would say. To be fair, I did level it up purely in Ruthless, so I had it at its base in there, and yeah, of course it's going to take a while to kill stuff, but after it's fully leveled up, you start seeing a little bit better benefits. I mean, when you were just to shoot this thing at fodder, right? As long as you're hitting headshots, they actually do go down pretty quickly. But if you're just hitting body, you can actually waste a lot more ammo than you would think. So when it comes to smaller targets, the fodder, try to hit weak points a lot of the time. I mean, everything above that, it almost feels like you don't have to, but, free damage is free damage at the end of the day, so, who says no to that? You know what I mean? But you know how it goes, right? I mean, you end up in scenarios where you're gonna need long range, you're gonna need close range, you need to have the flexible loadout, and this thing slots right in there if you found something like lacking in that department, I would say. I mean, the bolt pistol has decent variants for that. The accuracy variant for that matter, is really strong because you can just spam it from super far away, and that's good. But I think this thing might do it a little bit better if you have good aim. It's only going to take a little bit of a beam on a fodder's head to get something done, or if you had to stop a reinforcement call, I would say it's probably a lot easier with the Volkite pistol over the bolt pistol, but that can also depend on damage output and so on, what class is doing it, you know what I mean? There's a whole bunch of variables, right? But at the end of the day, this thing is probably the best pistol to use if you like to just burn stuff down one target at a time or spread out just headshot damage through the small guys. I mean, yeah, its accuracy is pretty much perfect, so as long as your aim is good, you're gonna hit something. So you don't really have to worry about like the bloom that happens when you spam bolt guns. Like shot grouping's always pretty much dead center because it's a laser beam. And that's a good thing, honestly. It's very constant. It's very consistent so that your brain can kind of put it to memory and start using it a little bit more efficiently, easier. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't take you as long to grab onto this weapon as it would some of the other ones, maybe, but the upgrades help. Let's be honest. Like, the upgrade trees do so much for us. in terms of like weapon performance. You know, I mean, once you get it to relic tier, I mean, most stuff is pretty goddamn good. I mean, not everything is as badass as burning stuff and making it pop. I really do like that. Like, you put enough heat on it and it just explodes. There is another perk line where you can make that a larger explosion, but like I was talking about earlier, I like to be able to burn stuff, elemental damage, and the like. So I went with when they actually do pop, it does a little bit of the explosive damage and a little bit of the thermal damage. So, do with that what you will. It's alright. It is kind of like, what you prefer at the end of the day, of course. So, dealer's choice, see what fits your playstyle the best. At the end of the day, you want to find, like, the most fun things to run, right? Like I was saying, this thing is the best pistol because it's the best for me, as an energy weapons kind of guy. I was a fan of the plasma pistol very heavily, but only so many classes get to run it. And the ones that do get it, I'm not always on, like, you know, certain melee focused ones and heavy, so on. But this thing being on Vanguard helps me a lot because I do like this thing quite a bit. And when paired with the Melta, like you just saw, you can get crazy numbers for damage if y'all like that. Like, it's got good damage, especially when paired with something that already does crazy damage, right? But if you don't vibe with the thing, then you shouldn't force yourself to run it at the end of the day, Like, just play the way that's fun at the end of the day. Quick side note, though. Check out how badass this one Rubric Marine is. This guy calling in the scroll right here. This is what surprises me sometimes about this game is like, no two fights are ever going to be the same. This guy wanted to throw some damn hands at me. It was just beautiful in a sense. I don't know. Anyway, if you were worried about this thing only doing good against bugs, man, let me tell you, it doesn't just do good against bugs. It does good against the heretics as well, all the same. The traitors. It'll burn them down just as good as the bugs. See, we get many different tools in our arsenals in this game, but this is one of those ones that truly stands out to a person like me. I mean, I'm sure a bunch of people are using it. It's probably all over the place, like, oh, how crazy this thing is, and people have probably shown how much damage it can do, all that. But as a guy that's just playing the game, and I mean, sure, I do videos on it and all, but like, I'm mostly still just playing it. This is one of those guns that just feels damn good to use, and it does slot right on into loadouts that frankly had a hole within them for me personally, because like I said, Vanguard only got the bolt pistol, the standard one, right? And that thing is good, but it's just not nearly as sexy as the Volkite pistol is now. That thing is beyond sexy. Like, we're talking supermodel levels of fine, alright? It's a dime, alright? This thing is fucking badass. The way it just full on takes the crowds around the little guys when you gun strike or hit the warriors with it and burn them down enough. There's almost nothing nearly as satisfying as that in this game to me. I mean, sure, you can sit there and do heavy damage with something like the plasma incinerator and a tactical, right? And that's cool, right? But burning and pumping these guys, I mean, it's a staple in every game that lets you kill bugs, right? You kill that shit with fire, it's satisfying. People love it, And this thing, it's no different, alright? You're killing bugs or, you know, heretics that turn into dust, magic dust. You're just popping them with a little bit of fire, burning them up. It just feels good. That's at the end of the day, that's what it is. It's just a gun that feels amazing to use. And if you learn how to use it over time, you can use the ammo a lot more efficiently. I mean, like I was saying, headshot the small guys, burn down the big targets to get anything else around it, or the big target itself. I mean, the targets like warriors should take like probably 60 to 75% of your clip if you're just burning that. But, you know, you shouldn't just be using all of that one mag on a target unless you're out of ammo, of course, for the main weapon. Because that's the thing about it, is we have so many tools within the arsenal. You use a little bit of everything, you know, it's a lot better on efficiency for keeping stuff up in battles of attrition, you know, and whatnot, than just burning down targets with the one weapon at a time, you know? This pistol is very solid when you throw in a few bits of the melees, a few bits of the gun strikes, you know, like you throw in a little bit of everything, a little bit of sprinklage, you know, and you actually see some results a lot better than just, you know, maining the pistol, right? So, yeah, you probably heard many other people beside me praising this thing, and you're probably going to hear it for a while because this thing is here to stay until they actually hit it hard enough where it couldn't be, but you never know when or if that kind of stuff happens. But the strong utility of this weapon is really what makes it such a strong pick for me. I love a good weapon that has utility built in, even though, you know, no weapon's perfect, alright? Nothing's perfect. We'll say that, right? But it doesn't have to be perfect to be pretty goddamn cool, honestly. I mean, it won't save you from everything, but what does, you know?